Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Alumni Spotlight featuring Vince Moiso, Class of 1995, Orange County Torero Club Committee member and President of the USD Alumni Board of Directors. My name is Megan O'Rourke, and I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Relations for the University of San Diego Alumni Association. I'm also a proud member of the Class of 2015. Events such as this were designed with the Alumni Association's mission in mind, to engage and enrich the Torero community for life. We do so every year through in-person and virtual events, interactive webinars, and lifelong learning opportunities. We hope today's program provides you with a greater understanding of the mission of the Alumni Association, ways to be involved as an alumni, and some fun facts about our Alumni Board President. While I see many Toreros from OC on the call, I also see that we have some alumni who are from outside of Orange County. Thank you for attending today's event, and thank you to those who will be watching at a later time. Some housekeeping items before we begin. We are recording this event through Zoom webinar and have activated the Q&A and chat. If you have questions for Vince, please feel free to put them in the Q&A feature, and we will address them at the end of the event, time permitting. Today's recording will also be available on the USD Alumni Association's YouTube channel later this week. At this time, I would like to introduce Claire Riccardi, Class of 2004 and member of the Orange County Torero Club, to turn on her camera to say a few words. Claire?
Hi. On behalf of the Orange County Torero Club, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. So as she mentioned, I'm Claire Riccardi from Class of 2004, and I am an Orange County Torero Club committee member. I help participate and see what's needed as events develop. The purpose of our club is to connect Orange County alumni with one another, with our current students, and with the university. Speaking of events, we host around 8 to 9 events annually that are both virtual and in person. Some of the events we have done recently include a tequila tasting, our annual pageant of the Masters Gathering, and today's spotlight on Vince and the upcoming Tacos and Cervezas event in Laguna Niguel in November. Although we host a number of events annually, we encourage you to stay connected via social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Team, the university's Torero employer and alumni mentoring platform. Thank you again for attending today's virtual event. We hope to see you at another one soon. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Senior Director of Alumni Relations, Charles Bass, to turn on his camera. Take it away.
Well, thanks, Claire, and thanks for all your work on behalf of our alumni in Orange County. And it's good to be here with everybody, and it's my pleasure to visit with the new president of the USD Alumni Association. We've heard about all his involvement. Vince Moiso, he's a former scholar athlete from the class of 1995. His wife, Shelby, is from the class of 1994, and one of their daughters, Viviana, is a second-year student at USD. Vince is president of Oceanside Glass and Tile, and is also the founder and president of his own consulting and financial planning business. On top of that, he just published a book entitled How to Survive the Wilderness, the Playbook for the Entrepreneur and High Performer. And in his spare time, he is the co-host of the CEO podcast, and CEO stands for Cocktails, Entrepreneurs, and Opportunity. In addition to leading the USD Alumni Board, Vince serves on the, as you heard, on the Orange County Torero Club leadership team and helped launch the Torero Football Club in 2016. Vince, it's great to see you and to be with you for this alumni spotlight. I think even after your bio, we still have time for a little Q&A. Welcome.
Thanks, Charles. That was good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit today about the Alumni Association, the Alumni Board, of what your vision is for the next 2 years. And also we'll talk about USD, your book and podcast, and whatever else we can find to chat about. Obviously, Torero athletics too. So without further ado, yeah, let's talk a little bit about, your USD experience. Talk about, maybe the highlights of your college days. You were a star football player for the Toreros. Talk about that to start.
Yeah, when I get asked, I get asked, like what, with my time on campus, what's most memorable, and I can't help but say football, right? So I'm still connected to this day, 25 years later or more, I'm still connected with all the guys that I played football with, and just enjoy those lifelong relationships that were created out of that, and what's exciting about that time is, we were the inaugural team when the program went to Division I, went FCS, and the success that the football program has had ever since is pretty incredible. And I love being a part of it, and watching the university enjoy that success.
Yeah, it's people say it's too bad you don't have a Division I team. We actually, a lot of people are confused. We are Division I. We just play at the FCS level, and we're non-scholarship, much like the Ivy League. The Pioneer Football League is non-scholarship. So that doesn't mean we don't compete with scholarship teams as we have in the last.
And by the way, so if you don't know this, we have five players on active NFL roster. So for our little quote unquote non-scholarship program, I think we've done pretty good. I would venture to guess, I'd have to look at all rosters, but I would put money that we have more NFL players in the league right now than San Diego State does.
All right, well, let's not start any fights. We can. Why not? We're all Toreros here, right? I think I just saw that Reed Sinnott, former quarterback, is going to he's officially the backup quarterback this week for the Miami Dolphins. So that's pretty cool. All right, so you played football. You obviously were a good student. You graduated, and then off you went to Europe.
I did. Yeah, I was just talented enough to continue my football career and play several seasons with a couple different teams. I spent time out in Finland and in Italy, and enjoyed literally every minute of it. It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience. It was a great experience just to travel. Charles, I know you're a fellow traveler, right? So certainly that was just the start of it, and I eventually moved into an international business career very intentionally, and have been lucky enough to travel the world ever since. Yeah,
I went to my first USD on the road trip last week, and it was weird, but it was great. The first time in 18 months. So happy to do that. So then you came back from Europe. You started this business, but you've also been really engaged with USD ever since, right?
Yeah, there was so truth be told, there was probably, when I came back from Europe, I'd say there was a few year gap there where I was actually very disconnected from the university. And when the football program hired Jim Harbaugh as the head coach, I got a phone call from him. Brian Fogarty, who was my football coach when I was there, who eventually became an assistant athletic director, he encouraged Jim Harbaugh to reach out to me, and he did, and I had this conversation. And that guy, if anybody has ever had a chance to meet him, especially while I was at USD, or meet him now, I've never met anybody with the level of energy that guy has. And he fired me up to be part of the program again, and reconnected me with the university and the football program. And that was really the start of understanding that we didn't have, specifically for the football program, we just didn't have a true booster club, or, it was very fragmented, very siloed in terms of development and support for the program and the university. And that was the start of it. I've been involved ever since. And then I'm so thankful for Steve and Vicky, who reached out to me. I've been in Orange County. I live in San Clemente. I've been in San Clemente for 25 years. And then they reached out to me to be a part of the Orange County Torero Club. And I've just really enjoyed that. We've had, and Claire, you forgot last year, it was the Orange County Torero Club that came up with the idea for the fireside chat with President Harris, which was incredibly successful. And we've done several, business type events that we've got, local businesses involved in Orange County, and we've had panel discussions around a myriad of topics and things like that. And those have been very well attended and very, very successful in the past. So it's been so fun to be a part of that. And then, it is going on 6 years, I think at this point, 6 years with the board of directors. in my first year as president, thanks to Kara, who originally nominated me to be on the board, and I'm very thankful for that.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Kara is the one. Okay, making a note. Making a note, Kara. I know Kara's helping us.
Don't be mad. Don't be mad at her for that.
No,
Charles.
no.
Don't be mad.
No blame to be had. So the alumni board mission, we talk about it all the time, is to engage and enrich the Torero community for life. And that, it used to, I think when you got on the board, we had I think it was originally a 3-paragraph mission statement. So we just kind of boiled it down to what it is we really do, connecting Toreros for life. And we put it into that actual statement, to engage and enrich the Torero community for life. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, earlier today, I'm smiling because I had pulled out, one of my original binders that I still have that has that old mission and vision, and it is lengthy and complicated. And I love, to engage and enrich the Torero community for life. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And engagement is the key word. So as we move into this fiscal year and the next several years, engagement is number one. In fact, our goal, which is a SMART goal, is to increase that engagement score, right? So it's the level of participation that all alumni, of all the alumni that we have out there, how many of them are participating in a couple of areas, who's volunteering, who's attending events, and who's giving, right? And we're going to measure, that's the measuring stick. And we, I'll say this, we've got this past fiscal year, we were at 16.75%. And the goal is to get to 18% this year. And while 1.25% doesn't seem, all that crazy, that means as a board of directors, so I can put a number on it, we have to get 1,000 new alumni to engage with the university again in some way, like I said, volunteering or attending events or giving. And that's pretty overwhelming. That's a lot of people that we've got to touch. And so we've got a great board of directors. I just love everybody that we're working with, and working with the alumni relations team is huge. And I feel like, at this point, and I've said this to you guys before, I've never felt in the 6 years of being on the board, I've never felt more connected with the university and with the alumni relations office. I think we're on the same page. We're totally aligned. And as we think of the 2024 goal, very aggressive, is to get that engagement score up to 22%. That's a deal.
Well, you probably feel more connected because we call you every day. But no, we appreciate your involvement and your level of, you mentioned you live in San Clemente, and I know your daughter is here on campus, but you are here on campus, weekly, if not more. So we appreciate that involvement. And I think it's really important to remind people that engagement it comes in so many different ways. A lot of people joke, my friends, when I tell them I'm the alumni director for USD, they assume that means all I'm doing is walking around with my hand out trying to get money from people. And I'd certainly encourage alumni to support the institution in whatever way they can, whether it's a $10 gift to help a student buy books. All right, $10 probably won't do it, but if it's a gift, a $50 gift helps a student go to a community service project in Tijuana that they might not be able to otherwise. Yeah. Obviously, a $50 million gift is great too. We can name a building after you, or we might even name 2 for $50 million bucks. But but engagement is not just giving. It's coming to a Torero football game or soccer game or whatever it might be. It's coming to one of our alumni events. It's going, it's signing up for team at usd.people. We'll post the team website in the chat, but that's that's a great way that you can just easily give a little bit of your time to mentor a student or a fellow alum and help. We also encourage folks to hire their fellow alumni through a program called Hire USD that Steve Nasman has been kind of the ringleader of. So mentoring.sandiego.edu is the web address I was.
Charles, that's even, I almost think that connection that you're talking about is even more important than anything else. When we're for alumni owned businesses, if we're hiring other alum, right, that's incredible. That only just increases the power of the alumni network. If we're doing business with each other, right, if we take each other's calls, it's just like, oh, wow, that's a USD alumni. If we're on LinkedIn, connecting with all USD alumni and then opening your network to other USD alumni. I mean, just all those little things grow us as alumni as a whole. And I think the key word there is that connection, right? So when we're all connected and you've got that renewed connection with the university, it's going to increase engagement at all levels that we're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to ask, one of my preset questions here: why is being involved with USD as an alum important? I mean, we talk about the fact that as alumni, you're standing on the shoulders of the people that came before you because they laid the foundation for the institution. Even though you paid tuition, and you in some cases you pay a lot of tuition, it still doesn't quite cover the entire cost of the institution, of your education. This year, for instance, our incoming class, the class of 2025, which is mind-boggling, that number, but 81% of those incoming students, first-year students, receive some form of financial aid. So, and a lot of that comes from our alumni. So we are appreciative of that. But why else do you think it's important to be involved as an alum?
Well, I go back to the mission statement, right? So we talk about, and I'll talk about the other key words, right? Which is to engage and enrich the Torero community for life, right? That's the key words, for life. So we often use that, right, in meetings as we talk about USD being a 40-year university versus a 4-year university. And I think you just touched on that. So I think when you talk to students that receive these type of gifts, I love attending the events where we get students to speak about, and the emotion that comes out and the passion that comes out that they're literally saying, I wouldn't have received this education if it wasn't for the generosity of alumni. And then that connection is huge. And then the amount of, the amount of paying it forward that we're going to get from that student as they get out into life is humongous. So yeah, why is it important is because it is a lifetime connection. And I think I can tell you, I've as you mentioned, I've given of my time and money and volunteering, and I mean, you name it. And I'm all in for all of that, but I feel like I've got back 10x on all of that. And so, that's the easy connection. And it's something that I'll do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Just all these, we talk about the importance of the Torero network. And, I just walked, I went to a Padres game a couple of weeks ago. I'm walking down the street and I hear someone shout my name, and I see an alum from the class of 97 who was standing with one of his newest employees, who is a guy from the class of 2020, who I had introduced him to as a potential for an internship, and really just to kind of talk about the opportunities that were available, not even expecting there to be a hiring opportunity, but sure enough, a year later, they are standing there. They had just gone to the baseball game together, and they were heading back to the office, so they said. But that's the power of it. It seems insignificant, just taking a call as an alum from a student, but it really can. It can be life-changing in some cases.
No doubt. I mean, I was talking. Claire and I were talking about it. And, the connections that she has. She just recently talked to a student who had reached out to her for fundraising purposes, and she ends up on the phone with that person for an hour, and then connects her with a doctor, and who she didn't even know that was going to be the result of that call. I mean, we've got astronauts.
Sure.
We've got.
Do you want to go to Mars? We
alum.
can hook you up.
Does it get any better than that? I don't know. I mean, what's next? But doctors and actors and actresses and entrepreneurs, and the list just goes on and on and on in every field and industry, both domestic and international. And I think connecting. In fact, we have an ex football player from USD who's in aerospace, and engineering and things like that. And I connected another young football alum with that one, and he got an internship with SpaceX. I mean, are you kidding? I mean, it's just that happened from all I did was facilitate, an introduction, nothing more.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend we could probably do and we do some storytelling. That's what we do a lot in our office, is telling the stories of all these great connections. I just was on a call yesterday with an alum, Austin Hirsch, who was at the last launch of for Elon Musk's rocket ship company. I forget which one it is, but he was a runner-up for the opportunity to be on that flight. So they flew him down there, and he got to be a part of watching the launch. But that's just another example of our interstellar alumni. Our network is, USC talks about their global network. Ours is out of this world. So we'll just keep. We need to work on that marketing.
Well, and I would,
work on the tag.
Add this is think about the number that I said earlier, which is, we're at less than 17% participation. And so with the amount of talent among our entire alumni group, gosh, I mean, if all somebody did was reach out to the people that they know, that they went to school with at that time, that aren't connected, and get them reconnected, would be huge. And I think in any way, right, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be about giving. Oftentimes it's not. It's really just engaging and reconnecting with the university. Yeah,
and we're honest too. That number of 17%, that's what we can track, and we know that there are many other activities and ways that folks are involved. Alumni come onto campus, speak to classes we may not know about. So we just have to keep tracking those down. I'm, speaking of classes, any favorite professors come to mind, or obviously the coaching staff played an important role in your life and development. Any favorite professors?
I'll answer that, but I would say, you mentioned how often I'm back on campus, but, I spend so much time because I keep going back to Coach Lindsay's office and letting him know that I still have a year of eligibility. He keeps kicking me out. I don't know why, but I offer it anyway. Del Dixon Del Dixon was a great mentor. I had several of his classes. I know he's an alum favorite. If you were in political science or international relations, I was international relations, and he was an advisor at the time. We kept in touch even when I went to Europe, and then came back and kept in touch. And he put me in contact with the business school, the dean at the time. So for roughly the last decade, I've been involved with the International Ayler School of Business, and have been, teaching an intercession course with those international graduate students. And so anytime I'm on campus and I get an opportunity to sneak into his office, I do so. He's been great just to stay in touch with, but he was definitely my favorite.
I've heard a devastating rumor that he might actually have retired, but what? I'm quelling that as just a false rumor. And I've talked to so many alumni who I always ask who was their favorite professor. And one told me, well, my hardest professor was Del Dixon. I said, well, that's not what I asked. Who's your favorite? Oh, for sure, Del Dixon. So despite being,
he was my hardest
challenging,
he was definitely my hardest professor at the same time, no question.
Yeah. All right. So I know I look young with my gray hair here, but say I'm a USD student calling you up for some advice about how can I be successful in life? What would you tell them?
Okay. My first answer is going to be self-development, and that's included in that is going to be lifelong learning, right? I think, it took me a while to figure that part out. So anytime I can share that with anybody, you got to do it right out of the gate. So if there's any thought of, okay, I'm done, I never have to study again, I don't have to read again, forget it. It's not going to happen. I ended up going back, getting my master's in business administration. So thankful that I continued my education. And from there, I've become an absolute avid reader. I read about a book a month, and obviously I've written a book as well. And so it's all of those things is just going through that self-development process, understanding self is the best thing that I think you can do, because it's just going to launch you in all parts of your life. And then I think finding purpose too, is just in whatever you do, love what you do, right? That's the thing. And so if you find your purpose, find your why, watch the most watched TED Talk is Simon Sinek's Start With Why, right? And it's popular for a reason. And I think when anybody can find their own purpose, let alone their business's purposes or what they're doing in life, it gives you just a ton of direction. And then stay connected. I mean, network. A lot of people will tell you your network is your net worth, right? And there's a lot of truth to that. And I think certainly as we talk about university, I can tell you that as my career launched, I can thank the University of San Diego for that. I mean, Brian Fogarty introduced me to several different people that launched my career. And then from there, I met other people. I've always tapped into my University of San Diego network for help in various ways. And as I've become more and more engaged and connected with the university, there's all sorts of things that come from that. So I think going to that low-hanging fruit of a network is a great place to start.
Fantastic. All right, so let's talk about your book, How to Survive the Wilderness: The Playbook for the Entrepreneur and High Performer, which is a 3-part playbook offering practical tools to any entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur or even high performers looking for a roadmap to grow themselves, their business, and their productivity. So what inspired you to write a book?
I don't know. It's hard to say what inspired me. I would say I've always been a writer. I enjoy writing, and I've been good at it, except when Del Dixon called me out on my BS, which did happen. It did happen. But I've aggregated just a ton of content over the years in teaching in various ways and coaching. And then when I started my own coaching and consulting practice, I realized just like how many people are in need of others sharing their experience and getting that roadmap. I mean, I was 40, right? I was almost 40 years old before I started down that path, and it was a long path. So, I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours of reading books, and I did the landmark worldwide curriculum, and then I took a communication course. I did the Stephen Covey 7 Habits course, and I could go on and on about all the things that I did to develop myself and further my career as a result of that, grow as a person, and then obviously grow in relationships, business, and personal. And I thought, you know what, I would love to just be able to give somebody a quicker roadmap to get there. So I took my top 10 books that I've ever read that had the most impact on me. I summarized all of them. So in 2 hours, Charles, you could read what took me 200 hours to read and let sink in. And then I took what's funny about those type of books, though, is I think you can't read just one of them and they give you, yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I have to do. No, I took kind of the essence of each of those and made it my own. And then that's the experience ultimately that I share within the book. And that's what inspired me, because I love to teach and coach. I just do. I get incredibly passionate around it. And if I can help somebody along the way, if I can help them get to their vision of success a little bit faster, then I love doing that. And so I put that in a book, and I would tell you this is it's so easy. It's easy to read because it's 90 pages. So one of my favorite books out of that top 10 is this book called Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. And it's like 90 pages. And it was the first time I read a book that wasn't 200 plus pages with a lot of fluff in it, and you're having to get through all that fluff and the extra story that the author pours into it. And this guy just got to the point, right? And I thought, when I write a book, that's what it's going to be like. I'm just going to be direct. I'm going to be to the point, and I'm going to let the reader decide what that background story is for them. So some of the feedback that I've already received is the reader gets the point, and then it takes them to that moment that's relatable to what's written in the book. And they experienced that themselves, which I love. When I heard that feedback, I was like, yes, that's what I was looking for.
That's great.
So that's the inspiration, and I've enjoyed the process. It's been a humbling experience.
This is where Jimmy Kimmel says, my guest today is Vince Moiso, the author of How to Survive the Wilderness, the playbook for the entrepreneur and high performer. We'll be back after this message from Diet Coke, but I don't have a Diet Coke, so we're not going to go to commercial. We're going to keep on going. This is a good time to remind folks that to use the Q&A. We have a question or a comment here from Vicki Nasman, the great Vicki Nasman, class of 1974. Steve and I love the interactive portion of your book and applying practical aspects with the call to action. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Vicki.
Vicki. And, we talked about, it's got to be a cool thing to get that book in the mail, or I don't know. I haven't written a book yet, or had one published anyway. So, but you got this thing in the mail, and then you go off to a football game somewhere, and you're on an airplane, and you look over, and what do you see? You see one of your college buddies reading your book.
Yeah, it's surreal. So I'm gonna tell you two things. I haven't received my copies of the book yet. Actually, I get them I think tomorrow or Friday. And I had ordered several of them. But so then last week I was going into a meeting, and somebody had an actual printed copy of my book. So it was the first time I saw the printed copy of my book with someone else actually purchasing it, and the author hadn't even got it yet. So that was really great. That was a lot of fun. And then the next day after that, I got on the plane, and I'm watching one of my very, very best friends for about 25 years, who is a University of San Diego alum as well, 1993. And he's reading my book on the plane, and he was giving feedback along the way. And at one point you could see he was almost in tears. So, there were certain points of the book that had really touched him. And it was an incredibly surreal moment, because I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, this guy is reading my book. Like, I'm on a plane, this guy's reading my book. This is not real. And then on top of that, the reaction that I'm getting from him as he's reading the book, I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, this is mind blowing. At one point I had to just get up and go to the bathroom. I didn't really need to go to the bathroom. I just got up, went to go to the bathroom, because it was almost too much to watch that happen.
That's great. So I assume we can go to our favorite independent bookstore, but if not that, we could probably go to Amazon, am I guessing?
Yeah, you can go to Amazon. You can go to my website. You can buy it from my website. In fact, you can download the first part. It's a 3-parter. You can buy the book uncut and complete on Amazon. If you just search the title, search my name, and you can buy the Kindle version on Amazon, or you can go to my website, surthrive.us, and
spell that out.
SURTHRIVE, surthrive.us. And you can actually download the first part for free if you just want to get a little piece of it.
All right, well, that's awesome. We'll bounce back and forth between your media empire and your role as an Orange County volunteer. What's somebody sent me a private question. What is one can't miss OC Torero Club event? I'm thinking it might have just happened. Pageant of the Masters, maybe.
Well, Pageant of the Masters,
previously starring Vince Moiso.
Yeah, no,
part of your empire.
Not this past year, unfortunately. Yeah, Pageant of the Masters is certainly a great event. Honestly, I have to say, tacos and cerveza would be my go-to. It's so much fun. It's just it's an alumni-owned business, right? The family, the daughter of the family obviously attended University of San Diego. So I love that. And it's hosted by them, and it's always well attended. And the mingling in that event, it just opens things up, and that has always been a favorite of mine personally. And I think having that as a staple. The second would, first or second, you put them in either order. I think I think Pageant the Masters, definitely. I mean, it's sold out every time. And
Yeah.
if you're in Orange County, you've never been to the pageant, it's something that you got to do. And we have people that come up from San Diego. We have people that come down from LA, so it's definitely a fan favorite.
Yeah, I think Tacos and Cervezas, as Megan mentions, it's coming up on November 3rd, and that's at Avila's, right? I think it is. Is that the name of the restaurant? Yeah, I mean, that's another example of the way the Torero Network.
Avila's El Ranchito. Yeah,
Avila's El Ranchito.
Corona Del Mar.
Yeah, so that's help us by alumni can also help by promoting their businesses on our alumni owned business directory, or if you know of an alum that owns a restaurant or a brewery, like Kensington Brewery, for instance, or some other thing that we should know about, make sure and send it to us, or send in a class note about yourself. So those are important things. All right, so we talked about your media empire. There's the book, and now there is the CEO podcast, Cocktails, Entrepreneurs, Opportunity. How did that come about? This, by the way, is my kind of version of podcasts, these alumni spotlights. We've called them USD Chats with Charles, and you can go to our YouTube channel and see some of those. I have a face for radio, so that's why I'm really good at, not as good on camera, but talk about the CEO podcast.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I my partner in the podcast, guy by the name of Scott DeLong, he's a PhD in leadership studies, and a smart guy, and he's a coach and consultant, and has run multiple businesses very successfully and sold multiple businesses. And he's here in San Clemente. He was at my house one night. We're sitting in the backyard, and he got a growler of beer from a local brewery, and we're sitting in the backyard. And I mean, lo and behold, the first 5 minutes is how's the family, and then after that, it's just business, right? It's like, we can't help ourselves. We just jump into a myriad of business topics. And one of the nights we had finished up, and he just kind of looked at me and he said, this is a podcast. And I said, well, certainly it's my vision of a podcast is two guys drinking beer and talking about what they're super passionate about. I'd always thought about starting a podcast, but I was never interested in really doing the interview thing. I felt like that's overdone in many cases. And
no offense taken.
I just said, let's do something a little bit different. Let's talk about all these topics that we love talking about and that we've taught about. We have a ton of content around, and let's drink beer while we're doing it. And so we've had a lot of fun. We're probably, 20 episodes deep at this point, and I just really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun.
That's great. Here's a question from the audience. Remember to use the Q&A or the chat feature, either one. What do you see as a big challenge as president of the alumni board this year?
Yeah, I think, I've been asked that question. It's a great question. And one of the challenges on campus that I've talked about with the Alumni Relations Office is, which is very typical for a lot of universities, is many of the departments can get very siloed in their outreach to alumni, from the business school to the School of Engineering to athletics to, we've got affinity groups on campus and all these other things, right? And oftentimes they just end up doing their own thing. And, sometimes we get a little bit out of alignment, and we're not able to totally track everything that's going on and work together for the engagement that we're trying to go after. So I think we've already taken some steps toward that. We have a member of one of the leaders of the affinity groups that now has a seat on the board of directors. We've also reached out to the Torero Club presidents, and we have a member of the Torero Clubs that now has a seat on the board of directors. So now they have this direct connection to understand what we're doing. I think the Alumni Relations Office has taken great efforts to get all of those departments connected and what their outreach looks like, and giving information back to the board of directors. So we're taking a lot of steps to get there, but that is the challenge, and will continue to be a challenge as long as we're all moving in the same direction. And again, when I mentioned earlier, I feel the most connected to the university as ever is because we're aligned with the university goals now. And I think previously in prior years on the board of directors, we kind of had a different path, right? We were going after something that was a little different. Now we're totally aligned with the goals of the university, and engagement is at the top of the list. And so I think now as we start to bring in different schools and have a concerted effort toward growing engagement and connection, I think that's going to help us move forward and hit those goals that we've set.
Yeah, that's great. Well, one way they can meet you, folks can come see you live and in person, as usually at a USD football game. And I know for sure you're going to be at the homecoming football tailgate, right? The homecoming tailgate. That is going to be October 16th, and that football game is versus Drake.
Yeah.
Davidson, but Davidson's.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we're going to play Drake at 2:00 on Saturday, October 16th. But the day before, or that 3 hours before, from 11 to 2, we'll have a tailgate party up on the Vistas. So there will be opportunities for alumni having class reunions, and the ones and the sixes to come gather up on the Vistas. There'll be food and beer and all kinds of fun available for purchase. So Vince, you'll be there, and you've actually been coming to tailgates in the last couple of years, right? That's something that some people don't even know is an option, right? You want to talk about that?
They just opened that up, a few years back, and I think it's one of the best things that athletics has done. So you'll get a very large group of parents, alum, and students that are up in the Vista parking lot. There's designated spots that actually people pay for now. So I think that'll continue to expand. And I'll just mention homecoming. If you were here in 2000, if you're at homecoming in 2019, that was the first time it was up in the Vista parking lots, and it was incredible. It was by far and away the best homecoming ever for a football game, and it was so great, and so it was well attended. But it kept people there, at the stadium and then into the Jenny Craig Pavilion, that courtyard. And there's so much stuff going on. It's a lot funner. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of vendors that are there now. I noticed this year already at the home games. I've been at all the home games so far, and the student attendance is much higher than I've seen it in years past, which is really great to see that. And that drum corps continues to ring loud throughout there. So there's just more activity, better experience with all that going on.
Yeah, so we will put the homecoming registration website in the chat as well, and encourage your friends to join us. The tailgate in the past, there's been a charge, but there's actually no cost for it, but you can purchase whatever food and drink you're interested in. Obviously, there are challenges, so we want you to check our COVID protocols when you can. We're trying to navigate this having people back on campus. We're excited to. It's great to have students back here, and I see a bunch of them lined up over there for some food across at the SLP. Vince, we have a couple more minutes. Actually, we're just at our ending time, but I want to encourage people to ask if there are any other questions. What most excites you about the future of USD, Vince?
So I probably had the most fun, as I was moving into my first year of presidency, Charles, and you had encouraged me to come on campus and meet with many different leaders on campus, and one of those was Kai Snyder, who's the vice president of operations for the university. And what was so exciting about that meeting is he took the time out of his busy schedule to give me a tour of all the new facilities, right? So everything from the tennis facility to the learning commons to the library. I mean, if any of you have not been on campus to see the new library, it is not the library that you remember. Trust me, that dungeon is gone. Like it is. I couldn't believe that was the same place. And then if you look at what's going on with the new business school, which will be up and finalized fall of 2022, that's exciting. The progress that they've made on campus for that is pretty incredible. And I've seen the virtual tour. I've done the virtual tour of what's going to be available to alumni and students within that new business school. It is absolutely incredible. So I'm just excited for how we've grown as a university. How many people, that this isn't University of South Dakota, it's University of San Diego,
Yes,
or,
yes.
when I say USD, they don't say, oh, you're an Aztec, like they don't say that anymore. Oh, you're a Torero. Who doesn't love a Torero is the response I get, and people just know. And so I feel like my degree is just getting more and more valuable every year as the school just gets better, bigger, the facilities get better, and we're attracting incredible talent. So I'm excited for the new alumni. I'm really excited to welcome the new alumni at the end of this year and the end of next year.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to mention that you talk about the library and the just unbelievable. It's the transformation is just phenomenal. And there'll be an open house over for Camino and Founders, which just got a total refresh, as well as the Learning Commons, and that is on Saturday of Homecoming and Family Week before the football game. So 9 a.m. Saturday morning down on that side of campus, and you can look across the way and see the Canal Center for Business Education that's coming out of the ground, and Olin Hall is being retrofitted as well. It's really an impressive time for the university. A lot of good things happening. There was a comment, just great to meet you, Vince, from TJ Rossi, and he appreciates your TJ appreciates your contributions to USD. And that's fantastic. One last question, Vince. This will tug at the purse strings. What does it mean to be part of a legacy family?
So exciting. Gosh, I don't know. I could spend the next hour talking about the experience, but I'm just so thankful. One, I met my wife at USD. We were married in Founders Chapel, and we will be celebrating our 25th anniversary this October. And then our daughter is now a sophomore on campus at USD, and she's in the honors program, and she's also in Choral Scholars. And I love it. I mean, just for me, any excuse to be on campus, Charles, you don't have to twist my arm. And the fact that my kid's there on top of it. On top of that, my wife was a Gamma Phi Beta. Viviana is a Gamma Phi Beta. So you've got, legacy all around. And it's fun. It's been fun to experience that. Even the word, right? I love that my kid is at USD. So cool. Best part about it is I didn't have to buy any new gear from some other university and wear it. So I just get to wear my USD gear and the stuff that I had. Awesome.
That's I didn't even think about that. You're right. So way to go, Viviana. We're glad to have her as a Torero as well. I think, by the way, I said heartstrings. I don't know if I said heartstrings, but I might have said purse strings. But either way, they're both true, right?
They're both very true. I heard, if you said heartstrings, I heard purse strings. So
yeah, that's the joy of editing, which maybe we'll be doing. But if not, we're glad to have Viviana. It's been certainly was a surreal first year for her, being basically on Zoom with her classmates for a lot of the time. And like I said, it's so great to have our students back on campus, and everybody's following the rules and being safe. So that's it. Vince, any last comments for our alumni population tuning in right now and who are going to watch this later on YouTube?
Yeah, so I would just say this. I would just encourage all of you to if you're not fully connected to the university, get connected. I mean, just come to an event, come to homecoming, go to a Orange County Torero Club event, whatever it might be, just reconnect in any way you can. I think that's really all we're asking for now, and moving forward is just that level of engagement. Take a call from a student or a young alum that is reaching out because they want to tap into your network, and hire USD. Check out, if you're an alumni owned business, or you're very passionate around the business that you're a part of, get them involved in the Hire USD program. I think that just is what makes our alumni group so strong, is if we continue to make that level of connection.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Vince. Thanks for all that you do for USD. And without further ado, let's go to the pride of the class of 2015, Megan O'Rourke. Thanks again. Great to see everybody. Go
Thanks,
Toreros.
Charles. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Thank you, Vince, for taking the time to chat with us today. I think that was a really informative conversation. It really reminded me of why I do what I do when I hear people like Vince talk about their USD experience and just how other people can get involved too. We have a lot of exciting events coming up. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So here are some ways to connect with us. We have Charles's email and Vince's email on the screen, but we also have a handful of events that are coming up. You will see some of these are virtual and some are in person. We have the LA Sustainability Panel that's coming up tomorrow. Some more affinity group programs with the Diversity in Latin American Experience, some Ultimate Frisbee action that we have coming up next week. And then, of course, we cannot forget that an event that we have coming up that we mentioned already, but is Homecoming and Family Week from October 12th to October 17th. It starts off with Torero Tuesday and concludes with our alumni mass on Sunday. So we hope that you'll be able to join us there. We have events through that program, but then we also have our separate alumni reunions. Everything's connected, but there's 2 different registration pages. Don't worry, we will send them all to you. But we hope that you'll be able to join us for those reunions as well. And don't forget to mark your calendars for the OC Torero Club's next event, which is Tacos and Cervezas on November 3rd. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We hope you all enjoyed the conversation, and we hope to see you at another USD event soon. Take care, everyone.